Alright, so I started this video. Initially I had the entire piece from sketching going all the way up to coloring. However, afterwards I realized that the sketch wasn't that clear. My lighting was off. But I didn't want to just disregard it completely, so instead I am showing the sketching part of this process, but sped up several times faster than the speed that you will see later on in the video. Anyway, what I'm drawing right now is a character from my original sci-fi multiple POV series called Stage Controller, part 1 of the 11 Keys series, which is part of a broad franchise. But anyway, the character that I'm drawing is called Kimika Kubo. She is the main character of the first story arc of the book. The book is split into 6 parts, by the way. So she is the POV of part 1. Most of those 11 chapters, if not all of them, are about her story. She is 16 years old. Really, I'm trying to avoid spoiling too much from the story itself, but this video, it's a lot. I would recommend just reading the book first, if it or at least check out the description on Amazon, see if it's something that you would want to read, and then get back to this video, because I may be dropping some minor or even major spoilers here. But anyway, we are right now we're done with the sketching part, as you can see, and I'm going into the inking process now. So the pose that she's in, this is one of the modes. This is not her base form, basically. This is one of her transformed states, really. So she is doing I'm drawing her in a pose where she's off the ground a bit, either jumping or, landing or whatever. She has, her left leg out, her right leg up, and the tools that I use just a regular pencil to get the sketch, and right now I'm using a regular pen. I think that would be called a ballpoint pen or whatever, but it's a regular pen. It's a really cheap product, I think, anywhere in the world. I think it's almost safe to make that assumption. So as you can see, I am going over. You can't make it out that well in the video in terms of my inking technique, but I do go over the lines more than once. If it was a gel ink pen or a marker, I could have just draw the lines once and go over it one more time just for the detail. But here I pretty much ink it similarly. I inked it similarly to how I would sketch it. And so she has 2 guns up. She is a dual pistol user, gun user, basically. I think Kimika is one of my most unique character designs. As you can see, look at her tail. She has those twin tails, and when I actually there's an advice that is out surrounding characters that you want them to have distinct silhouettes. Like from you see their shadow, there's something about their appearance that stands out a lot. And I actually had this done for Kimika before I even knew about this. I didn't learn about that until about at this point maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and I came up with Kimika in like 2012, and at the time of recording this video, that is almost, at this point I would say almost 11 years, almost exactly. I think I came up with her design about 2012, the summer maybe, but it's around 11 years either way. Okay, so after I've completed the inking process, I focused on the darker areas and the lighter areas as well. I'm using Shuttle Art alcoholic marker, but I think the strategy is similar for most, if not all, other alcoholic markers. You can decide if you want to go with like from dark to light or light to dark, or whatever. Sometimes rather than using a darker color or a lighter color, and this is something that I haven't seen any art channels give this advice, but I think it's worth saying. You don't necessarily have to go with a darker colored marker and a lighter colored marker on every time. You could just use the same color, and then for the lighter areas you only apply the color once, barely applying it there. For the darker areas you go over it multiple times, and then for the flat color, the base of the entire design, you just apply that evenly throughout, and that would give you a good enough look, really. So that is something that I would recommend doing. The canvas in this video is it's almost, I guess you can say it's a cardboard. It's a brown, it's thicker than cartridge paper, but it is a bit thinner than the regular cardboard that you see that makes cardboard boxes and so on. So it's somewhere in the middle. I decided to make use of them because it's one of the few things that I actually have in abundance without having to spend a lot of money on. Well, anyway, as you can see on the screen, we are using, the color scheme for this one is purple, yellow, and green. So very dark purple, her hair is purple, her lips purple, and the other parts that you're seeing there, and of course yellow for the hair puffs or hair buns, whatever you want to call them, at the top of her head, and yeah, her skin is a shade of green. Yep. Okay, so we are, and one thing is, you should try to, when you're using alcoholic markers, my advice would be that you should try to color quickly, but don't color, if you're not familiar with them, I would suggest that you practice on just rough sketches, thumbnails or whatever, and then take it from there. But what I wanted to say was that don't try to go fast if you're not familiar with it and then mess up your whole design. It's probably better to go a bit slower first, but the more you use them, the better you'll get at them. I haven't even had these for a year as yet at the time of recording this video. It is currently April in 2023. So yeah, anyway, we are almost at the very end of this piece right now. I am happy with it. This is, I've been drawing Kimika a lot lately, coloring her a lot, and I honestly believe that this is the closest thing to what I have in mind of how she should look, how she how she was described in the book, and there's only so much you can do with written descriptions, right? This is the power of visual media, right? This is why they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? because you could read that 110,000 word book, or chemical section, which is about 50,000. Was it 50 or 30? I think it was 30 something thousand words for chemicals arc of the story, the longest out of all the six. You could read that and you still probably wouldn't get that this is how she should look, at least in the transformed state. But here I could just draw it. And if you can't draw, you could probably just hire an artist to get your character design done. But anyway, yeah, there. This was not a tutorial. This is just me drawing and explaining what is going on in what you're seeing, and we're at an end. As you can see, I'm going over when you apply the colors. Another good tip is to go over them to ensure that you don't have patches or smudges. You don't have uneven textures on your design. She's still not 100% done. I will probably save that for way down in the series. This is just the first character design of the Dropout art characters of the Stage Controller novel. We got 5 more in this section to go, and then of course the other arcs to get to. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace. Right now we're doing another sketch of the characters coming from the original novel, Stage Controller. Link is in the description below if you want to read the novel, but this character is called Tish Minor, though her name is spelled Taije. Long story for that one, but she is short in comparison to the previous character that we showcased, Kimika. While Kimika is around 5'10", Tish is around 4'10", thereabout. And I use my own proportion sheet. You can pretty much use your own as well if you're doing original character designs. I try to make the characters from Stage Controller a bit more realistic, even though most of them are, aliens and different species and all of that. I try to make the proportions more realistic, so a 5-foot person would have a similar height proportion to someone in our real life, right? So, and the proportion, whenever I didn't mention this in a previous video, but whenever you get the head of the character, you know where the pose that you want, and you have an idea as to where they're going to be standing or whatever. Get the head, and then you use that head to determine the body proportion. So if you want it to be like 5 head heights or whatever, 4 or 5-foot person, you can just use that and go on, or whatever. But anyway, this was a lot easier than my previous design, not just because of the size, but because of the pose. She is pretty much standing, or you can say partially tipping or floating. And of course, she has her hand, both her hands are out. And so yeah, it was pretty much easy to have the design, the sketch, the inking, even the coloring process. But sometimes, regardless of the pose, regardless of the character, the more you do something, or like if you sit down and you draw, usually the first character or the first 2 characters that you come up with in, however long it takes you to just draw a collection of stuff, those are usually harder than the ones further down, right? Because now you're in a groove. And so yeah, this is Tish. I gave her, blue, dark blue. She has grayish skin, blonde hair, yellow, yellow everywhere else, basically. And yeah, that is Tish Minor. Okay, now we are doing another character design. This time it's more of an animal type of character here. This design is titled Kit. He is the partner to Kimika, the first character that we designed here, and basically he's like a cat, but of course with alien traits. So what I did was I gave him a small size, cat-like size almost, and his fur has he's gonna be in green, but with different shades of green, and it's almost like he has broad stripes where one layer of fur has like a darker green to the other layer. All right, and the pose that I have is that of he's doing a jump, but of course it's like a type of a superhero comic pose, like, so you have his front paw stretched out right, and his claws exposed. This isn't how he would seem in his base form, but yeah, that is it. Right, now we have another sketch, our first male, our first male humanoid design in this Dropout arc series from the Stage Controller debut novel. Link is available below. Okay, so this time what I did was I started off with a rough sketch of the head. I knew where the feet would land, so I did like a rough line from the head down, which would indicate how the body would bend. So the line goes from from underneath the head down to past the torso, the waist, legs, knees, all the way down to the feet, and then I went ahead and sketched in the actual body itself. And this is JJ, by the way, or Julian Jet from the series. He's gonna be someone that Kimika meets later on in the story. Tish already knows him before the novel actually began, but he shows up. He's more of one of the funnier characters in the series, so I wanted to give him a pose that kind of shows some personality as well. So as you can see, he's standing. He has his left leg up on something, and his right leg is standing on the ground, so he's looking across. And spoiler alert, or whatever, I don't know if spoiler is the right word, but you will see what he's looking across at when I'm doing another section that won't be revealed in this Dropout arc series of artwork. So yeah, he's standing, he has a gun on his hip. Yeah, Julian. Okay, right next to our previous design, we have another character here, and this I'm doing all of this within one column. I don't think I explained why I'm doing that as yet. Probably save that for when I'm doing the Dropout arc series as a whole. When I'm explaining just the whole thing as, you know, as one group, or later down the line maybe. But basically I'm doing a sketch of a character by the name of Hardy Blake. While Julian, who we designed previously, is more one of the funnier characters, Hardy is more a bit on the emotionless side, and he is one of the smarter characters in the entire story, not just the Dropout arc section of the Sage Controller novel, but the novel overall, right? And this is something that covers, you know, thousands of light years of worlds and characters. So him being one of the smartest ones is a big deal. So what he's doing, he's standing, he has one hand on like a tablet thing. I won't draw that until some point later down, but he's in a jacket, pants. Somehow Hardy has turned out to probably be the drippiest character that we've done thus far, I guess. Which is weird, considering that is not, he doesn't really care much about that type of stuff. He also has the first chapter in the story for anyone who's interested in the novel that this design came from. So he has greenish skin, brown hair, brown jacket. I went ahead and just gave him brown pants as well to match the jacket, and there's a purplish shirt underneath. And yeah, and also he's also standing on something which I also will not sketch outright or draw outright in detail until much later down. I really like the way that this design felt when I started to use the markers on the shades and so on. I think that I got the shades done without much hassle. So yeah, Hardy Blake. Okay, and now we have gotten to our final character design for the Dropout arc section here. And I honestly think that this was, out of all the sketches that I've done, this was surprisingly easier than I thought it would be to get the main idea going on the canvas. So this is, based on what you're seeing so far, you should be able to deduce that this is a female character design as well. And her name is Elegance, aka Sophie Delsin. She is the main antagonist of of the Dropout arc storyline. So she and Kimika, they're basically on a collision course. So yeah, so this is gonna be a trend in the other sections as well, where I try to let the final character be the antagonist of that section. So I have her. She's an enforcer, which is you can think about them as the space police or the space military, and so she is dressed in a suit. The design is something that I came up with based on other concepts and my own original ideas. I didn't want a suit that is too bulgy, but I didn't want one that is too thin. So while you can see her curves, you can see them you can tell that she has a lot of layers of clothing underneath, right? So even though her shape can be seen, it's not ridiculous to the point where you wonder, like, what's going on. It's almost like she's wearing nothing. But no, so she's when I drew her as well, I thought about the silhouettes idea. I wanted her silhouette to be unique. So you can see that is what I was going for with the hair thing above there. She is, as for what she's doing right now, she is standing, her legs partly spread. She has a large blade in one hand, and on the other hand she has a type of gun, I should say. Right. So I was really happy with how everything about this design came out, from the sketch to the inking to the coloring, everything. I even went ahead and inked the weapons as well, but I didn't color them, right? And we will see the full final image of Elegance when I am doing the Dropout arc section as a whole. But anyway, thanks for watching.